Hi everyone, Julia here from Wheelhorse Web, and this tutorial is going to show you how to set up redirects when you're redesigning your website. This important step is part of our launch checklist every time we redesign something and launch it. So I'm going to show you how, and I'm going to talk about why we want to handle redirects in the video that follows. But first, a note about my business. Are you tasked with managing a WordPress website for yourself or your organization? I hope that this video will help you do it better. But if maintaining your site does not spark joy or you feel like you're in too deep, please consider hiring us to take that work off your plate, or we can offer you some coaching to make it a little easier. So if you're interested, check out our website at wheelhorseweb.com. Now, back to the topic at hand. Why do we want to set up redirects when we redesign a site? Well, first of all, it's important for SEO, and it's also part of a good user experience. If it's not done properly, people could getting 404s, and you could be ending up missing out on some website traffic from people who are truly interested in finding and engaging with you. Why does this happen? Well, during the time that your existing website was online, right? We're only talking about redesigns in this video. You have an existing website, other people are linking to it. Those links are out there in the web, in the World Wide Web, and also in people's emails, and people have saved bookmarks. And you want to make sure that those website links do not go dead if your URLs change. Sure, users can always navigate around your site searching for that content, but realistically only the most persistent people are going to do that. You may decide, on the other hand, that your website is not well known enough, it's not important enough or business critical enough for you to be worrying about this, and that is totally valid. The backlinks out there are probably pointing to your homepage if you're a small business website and you're not doing a lot of digital marketing. However, just remember that Google is also creating a lot of links to your site as part of the search engine's results page. And those links are all going to go dead, the specific pages, if you change your URL. So yes, Google will re-index them eventually, but in the meantime, it'll be frustrating for users, and also can just generally negatively affect your SEO because it just does. So when do you need to set up redirects? You don't need to set up redirects if you are launching a brand new website. You also don't need to do a redirect if you're just removing content from your website. The 404 page exists for a reason, and it's a great way to tell people we have removed that content. It does not exist. And if you redirect them somewhere vague, it'll just be like a wild goose chase, and that's not good either. So, however, if you have moved some content to a new location, or if you just changed the URL of a page and you didn't change it in any other way, you really want to create a redirect. And you can do it in a variety of ways. If you're doing it all in one session, it's not super important, but ideally you would create the new content, then create the redirect, then delete the old content. If you have like relatively low traffic, most small business websites have fairly low traffic in the grand scheme of things. You probably don't have to worry about like the order of operations, just do it all in one sitting. But if you have a bigger website with more users, you may want to be strategic about the order that you do it in. So how does this fit into the whole workflow of a redesign project? It's a little bit more complex when you're doing a redesign than when you're editing a site, because there's this added step of determining which URLs need to be redirected, right? If you're a website professional or you inherited the website from somebody who no longer works at the organization, or if you just have a lot of pages and you like added things over a long period of time, you may not really remember all of the pages that are in there and which ones are important and what they say and what they're used for. So it's best to start by making a list of URLs that actually need to be redirected if you're not sure. Before talking about this any further, actually, let me just say that ideally you would be thinking about this step from the very beginning of the redesign process. At our agency, we are always aiming to maintain the existing URLs as much as possible, unless there's a good reason to change them, like if they're really messy or long, or they don't really reflect the content anymore. Those are all good reasons. Putting redirects in can slow down your site because there's like an extra step the browser has to go through, and it can also affect your SEO and cause technical problems. It's just, you want to use them strategically as opposed to using them as a cure-all. So another thing to know is that if your website has a large volume of blog posts, especially a WordPress website, there may be a certain pattern that the URLs are following. For example, it may include the date or the category. You'll want to figure out how to do those all at once or avoid changing the pattern. All right, on to the next topic. How do you know if it's worth setting up a redirect? I mentioned earlier that this might just not be worth your while. And also, like, every single redirect is crucial, and honestly, you should just consider efficiency. So some sites I've worked on have included hundreds of URLs, and in a lot of cases, it is not worth your time to find a redirect for every single URL on the site, aside from the fact that some of that content might be gone. So anyway, you can look at the sitemap for a full list. I prefer to look in 3 places when I'm figuring out which redirects I should add. Firstly, I look at the analytics data. Usually this is Google Analytics, but not always. I look to see which pages are getting the most traffic. Those should be at the top of your list. If the URLs have changed, you really need redirects. Then I'll do a search on Google for all the search results on the domain. Have you ever Googled site : and then a URL? That's going to show you all the results for a certain domain. I then from there will prioritize them based on how they ranked in that general search. But not everything that's important is going to necessarily come to the top, and that's why we're using multiple sources. If there are a lot of URLs in search engine results and Search Console is set up, Google Search Console, I'll often look there as well and just check and see which pages are getting the most clicks and make sure that you've got all our bases covered. Every important URL is in there. Most small business websites, this process is going to go real quick, but for clients who are really attentive to SEO, or website owners who are really attentive to SEO or have large sites but not unlimited budget, this prioritizing process is really helpful. After doing all that, I'll probably also take a look at the sitemap just to make sure that I'm not missing anything. Sometimes at that stage, I'll notice a page that was hidden from search engines and gets relatively low traffic, but is really important. And that might be because it's shared via link only. It might still be super crucial to the website owners and the business because, for example, a client portal or a wholesale sales page might be something that you only want to share via links to specific people. So that's the kind of thing that can be really crucial, but not really showing up as a high traffic page. And also, because it was shared as a link, if that URL changes, it's extra frustrating for important people in your business. So important to double check all of these places. So you'll first want to go into the WordPress dashboard, go to plugins and add new, then do a search for redirection. There are plenty of other plugins that do this well, and of course, as I mentioned, you can do it in the htaccess file, but I really like the redirection plugin myself. Once you have installed and activated the plugin, you can access it from the Tools menu, and you'll need to set it up the first time you use it. There are a lot of nice features in here if you're managing a large number of redirects. I'm not going to get too far into the details. I think that it could be content for another time, so leave a comment if you'd like me to do a deep dive into this plugin. But for now, we'll just pretty much stick with the default and set up our first redirect. So it's asking for the relative URL. The relative URL is the URL of the page, but without your domain, your root domain included. So it should start with a slash and include everything that comes after the .com or .org or whatever. And then you'll want to know, of course, the new page, the new URL, and there you go. Now here over on Squarespace, we're going to go into settings and then developer tools and then URL mappings. And you'll see there's a nice description of the syntax and it's pretty straightforward. So again, we can use the relative URL. So I'm just going to type /old page, new page 301. And that's all. Regardless of what platform you're on, don't forget to test some of your redirects just to make sure that they are indeed working. I'm not going to get into every single platform here. I just picked a couple popular ones, but I will try to include a bunch of links down below to knowledge base articles so that if you're on a different platform, you can easily figure out the syntax and the location of this setting in the back end. So I hope it goes well for you. Please subscribe, like, share with your friends, and happy redirecting.